Everyone talks about moving to Canada like it's just about getting the visa. But nobody actually talks about how much money you need to survive the very first month in Canada. And when I finally sat down and calculated everything that we need for our family of three, I realized this is a much bigger financial step than people make it seem. So, in this video, we're going to break down the cost of your very first month of living in Canada. We're going to talk about rentals, deposits, flights, furniture, and everything and above that you need to think about before moving to Canada. If you're new here, hi, my name's Nelly. We're a family of three. I'm a Canadian citizen, and my son is also a Canadian, and my husband is moving through spousal sponsorship. Since we married outside of Canada, we applied for Outland spousal sponsorship, which make it a much longer process. You can follow our immigration process on my channel, so make sure to subscribe. But more specifically, I made two videos with all the timelines of our immigration story, and it's in two parts, so make sure to check it out. I'm going to link them in this video. And our immigration story started on April 2024. Right now, we're in Armenia and we're planning our move to Canada, and this time in Calgary, Alberta. And I'm that type of person that cannot move to countries or even travel without spreadsheets. So I made one. Keep in mind that the final number will look completely different depending on the number of family members, the province you're going to move on, and a lot of different factors. So in this video, I'm going to break down the cost of moving for a family of three to Alberta, Calgary. Part 1. The cost of just arriving. Let's start with the money you need before you even feel settled. Flights. We're flying from Armenia to Calgary. That means 3 tickets, 2 adults, 1 child, plus luggages. International flights alone are a serious expense. When it comes to flights from Armenia to Calgary, there are multiple options. One option has one layover in Europe. The second option has multiple layovers in Europe depending on the route and the airline. I already looked up the ticket prices that include standard checked luggage, but since we're not flying as tourists, we're moving. That changes everything. We're not flying with one suitcase each. We'll probably need multiple extra luggages for each single person. And once you start adding additional bags, the ticket price goes up pretty quickly. So realistically, for 2 adults plus 1 child, with extra luggage included, we're looking at around 3,200 US dollars just for flights, which is $4,380 Canadian. And that's before we even land in Canada. Crying in dollars. So realistically, you don't land and move straight to your long-term rental because you need time to view the apartments, sign the lease, get documents sorted, open a bank account, and a lot of other stuff that you need to do before even signing the lease for your long-term rental. So for the first 7 to 10 days, we're going to stay at an Airbnb. It will cost around 700 Canadian dollars depending on the availability. Now talking about food during the very first days in Canada. Imagine this, you took a flight that was almost 24 hours straight with a bunch of layovers, with a toddler, a bunch of luggage. You're jet lagged, you don't have a stocked kitchen, and of course you're eating out more than usual. And eating out in Canada adds up fast. If we eat out just for lunch for, let's say, the first 5 days, it will cost us around 300 Canadian dollars. Now let's calculate the simple groceries for breakfast, dinner, snacks, and sometimes lunches at home. For a family of 3, basic grocery budget per week in Calgary roughly is $180 to $220 per week. Since this is a short-term Airbnb stay and we are not going to buy bulk items, let's say for the first 7 to 10 days, it will cost us around 250 to 300 Canadian dollars. This would include basic food like eggs, milk, bread, pasta, fruit, vegetables, and so on. So just food during our transition period can easily be around $600. Part 2, rent and the reality check. This is where it gets real. So in Alberta, when renting an apartment, you usually pay your first month's rent plus the damage deposit equals to 1 month's rent. Of course, you can choose different options depending on the criteria that's important for you, but we're going to be looking for two-bedroom apartment. So let's say the lowest price for the two-bedroom apartment in Calgary is $1,800, and the highest I'm going to count as 2,000 Canadian dollars. So if rent is $2,000, that's $4,000 just to get the keys for your rental. And that's before even buying a single fork. Because as you may know, in North America, when you rent a place, it's usually all empty. So you need to buy all the necessities, even the kitchen appliances, everything, bed, mattress, like towels, and so on. If especially if you're moving like we are from another continent, and of course, we're not taking anything like house related with us. So, yeah, then you add the internet setup plus phone plans, utilities if not included. So, for phone plans, we are planning to use Freedom Mobile. I posted a video about my current mobile provider, which is Virgin Plus, and how I am not happy with it, to say the least, because they scammed me for hundreds and hundreds of Canadian dollars each and single month. So make sure to check that video. And so after doing a research on this topic and receiving comments on my latest video from a Canadian, I decided to stop on Freedom Mobile. So for both my husband and I, we want at least 100 gigabytes data a month. That's about $40 each per line before tax. So around $800 total for two lines monthly. And for Wi-Fi, Freedom has a 5G home internet option that can be as low as about $24 to $60 a month, depending on availability and speed. So realistically, between phones and Wi-Fi, we're budgeting around $140 to $160 a month for connectivity. As far as I know, the utilities in Canada really depend on the season you're paying. So let's say in warmer seasons, it will cost you from 130 to like 200, $300 per month. And then at winter time, it can get up to $460 as far as I know. So, and on average, $300 for utilities per month. Part 3, furniture and basic setup. So if you're moving countries and not shipping your whole life with you, you're basically starting from zero. Once we sign the lease, the next step is setting up our apartment. We're not going to buy everything new. We're going to use Facebook Marketplace for big stuff like bed, couches, and buying affordable new items for things like bedding and kitchen basics. For furniture that's essential like bed, mattress, couch, table, basic kitchen setup, we're looking at around $1,200 to $2,000. That covers a used bed, couches, and basics from IKEA and all the things you actually need to live comfortably. And these aren't the luxury items, just the things you need to make the space functional. Part 4, groceries and monthly survival. Once we moved in and are cooking most of our meals at home, grocery costs for a family of three in Canada can easily be about $700 to $900 per month. If we use Calgary Transit, passes for two adults per month will cost us $115. But getting around by car is usually $300 to $600 per month, including gas and insurance. So transportation adds up fast. But since we haven't bought a car yet, and I don't think we will for the first month, let's just count it as Calgary Transit $115 monthly. Part 5, the first month reality. This is something I think is very important to say. The first month in Canada is usually just paperwork. Health cards, SIN, bank accounts, address updates, school or daycare research for your child. Yes, of course, we're going to look up for jobs immediately as landing there. Actually, I'm already applying for jobs here from Armenia since I'm authorized working in Canada. But realistically, most newcomers do not start earning income for the first month. My husband is moving through spousal sponsorships, so depending on timing, there may be a period before full work authorization. So you cannot move assuming that you will start earning money right away for the first month. Now, the total number. So when I added everything together, total number is 10,710 Canadian dollars. So for our family of three flying from Armenia and starting from zero, we realistically need around 11,000 just to survive and feel stable during this first month in Canada. Part 6, Emergency Fund. I personally would not feel comfortable moving to countries with at least 2 to 3 months living expenses saved. This is not about fear, it's about peace of mind, it's about being stable and able to breathe freely. And based off a lot of other people's stories about finding jobs in Canada as newcomers, especially without any work experience in Canada, which is very important, it can realistically take around 3 months to get a job. And I'm not saying that's always the case. You can find jobs faster, but I've heard enough real stories to know that it's very possible. So if our monthly expenses are around $5,000, in theory, that means that we would need an extra $10,000 on top of our moving budget to feel completely secure for those first months of living. But realistically, I know that for us and probably for most families, having that full extra amount saved is not always possible. So the plan is simple: save as much as we can before moving, be prepared, and once we land, start immediately applying for jobs and find a job as soon as possible. And honestly, knowing our numbers, it kind of scares me, but mostly it motivates me because now I know the goal that we need to work towards too. Now, you need to understand if you're moving alone, your number will be lower. If you already have furniture or family support in Canada, it will be lower. If you move to another province or city, it will probably not be lower, to be honest. It will probably get even higher, the cost of living each month, because Calgary isn't a very expensive city compared to other cities like Toronto, Montreal, let alone. So, yeah, keep that in mind and make your research because at the end of the day, knowledge is power. Moving to Canada is not just about being approved, it's about being financially prepared. In this video, I tried to add everything that came in mind. And of course, I think I missed some things like parking, because usually you need to pay each month for parking when you're renting an apartment. And also, I didn't add the cost of daycares or schools because we're still in the process of learning that. And in different provinces, the programs differ. For example, in Alberta, the kids can start going to school from 5 years for free. I mean, the government is going to pay for it. Whereas in Ontario, the age for free education starts at 4 years old. The school topic for kids or like daycare, I'm not very educated about. That's why I'm not talking a lot about it in this video. But I know that there are subsidies that help families with low income to pay for school and a lot of like help from government. So make sure to make your research, go on Reddit or Facebook groups and just ask questions because registration for the new school year already started in January. It starts on January, February. So make sure to apply for your kid. We are still searching the schools because the system in Canada kind of differs. For kids under 6 in Canada, the daycares or schools, kindergartens, I'm not sure the correct name. They usually work until like 11 or 12, which is kind of weird for me because where I'm from, kids go to school at 8 a.m., let's say, and then parents can pick them up at 6 p.m. so that they can work and come after work to pick their kids. And in Canada, it's completely different. You have to apply for after school program as well, I think, or go to private daycares. So as I said, the system is very different. You need to search it for yourself. But if you're planning on moving to Canada, please let me know in the comments what city you're moving to, and are you moving alone or with your family? And if you're already made the move to Canada, please let us know in comments how much it really cost you for the very first months in Canada to leave. And don't forget to mention your city. And also, I think it will be interesting for all of us to know how long it took you to find your first job in Canada without job experience. So, yeah, I hope this video helped you to understand the budgeting before moving to Canada. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.